Whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
Hello, 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 and thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show on this first day, not full day, but winter starts today. Today is the winter solstice. It starts here in California. Hold on, let me get the time right. It starts at 7:27 tonight in California. It's also because it is the shortest day of the year. It is Short Girl Appreciation Day, so appreciate me, people. And all my shorties out there, men, women, children, everybody. It's Short Person Appreciation Day. And of course, it is my last live show of 2023. Kim will be doing a show tomorrow, so stay tuned. I'm going to be recording a Friday Food today that will air tomorrow. And then I will have some new content up periodically next week. I hope to do some shorts while I'm on vacation as well. So, keep that, hit the subscribe button and the bell, because when there's new content, you guys will definitely know. I did send out my Christmas e-cards. I hope you guys got them. I think I had all the addresses in. If you did not get one, don't spoil it in the chat, but send me an email. And of course, my email address is the show's email right there on your screen, NIKKI'S@gmail.com. I hope I got everybody's. If I missed you and you're one of the regs in the comments, I apologize. I kept going through my list and I felt like I had everyone, but some of you don't use Patreon. Some of you only use PayPal, and I was trying to cross-reference, and I was up really late last night. So doing all this and getting it all together and getting the show together. So if you did not get one and you want one, just email me and I'll send it to you right away. And I'll put you in my email list, because I'm trying to create this whole database. So when I want to send you guys stuff, I can. And it's easy peasy. I don't have to go to a bunch of different things. But I hope you liked it. It was really fun. We're actually going to be debating on this show Christmas cards in general. I got this, and I'm hoping Kim, I don't know if Kim overslept, but hopefully Kim will be here in a moment. Normally, this is our first Christmas in the new house. So normally when we get Christmas cards, I would just hang them, we had this big mirror in our family room. We just kind of attach it to the mirror. Well, the way our house is situated now, it's different. And so I got these lights, and they have clips, and so you can hang Christmas cards on them. And I love it. And so I send mine virtually because there's so many of you. And I don't send Christmas cards hard copy. I'm not a regular person like that. How many of you, and you guys, we'll talk about this more in the comments when we talk about it, but how many of you send out hard copy Christmas cards anymore? My mom, and what stinks is I used to live with my mom when my kids were really young. I basically live over there because my husband was working nights and they'd have to watch the kids. And so a lot of the times the Christmas cards were sent there and they were for all of us. Now I don't get them from all the people that my parents and I know together. They just send it to my parents. So they get all the cool Christmas cards. Not a lot of people have my new address anyway, but I love getting them. I love hanging them. I just don't like making them. I don't like making them. I should have. A lot of good things happened this year. I just didn't get around to it. Sometimes I do end of year cards, like Happy New Year cards. I don't know if I'm going to be doing that either. It's just, this end of the year, between us being sick and everything, the digital card, I was stoked to make. Hard cards, stamping, enveloping, that's just, it's just a bit too much. But I love how I saw somebody in the chat saying, I don't think of you as short. You want to know how many people have said that to me in my life? It is so fun. Oh, Steven, you're the one that said it. You know who always used to tell me that? Chip Franklin always used to tell me that. He's like, I don't think of you as short. And it has a tinge of not racism, but shortism. I don't know what to say. What's wrong with being short? It's Short Person Appreciation Day. Nothing wrong with it. I love it. Oh, fellow shorty, mama, 3 boys. See? It's very, very good. I love you guys. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Merry Yule. Yes. So yeah, email me if you want to get my digital card. I absolutely love it. And thanks, guys, for already coming in the super chat. Steven, you came in with a $3 super sticker. Harry came in with $10. Enjoy your Arizona Christmas. That's where I'll be. A rapist, con man, and a tax cheat walk into a bar. The bartender says, "What can I get you, Mr. Trump?" Yeah. And I saw Lori in the comments before I came in. I have not seen the whole thing, but you were saying that, what was it called? It was called the indictment before Christmas. I'll play a little clip of that. I can't play the whole thing. It's like 11 minutes long. So I can't do that, but I will play a little bit of it so that you can, so we can all enjoy it. Cause it actually is funny. I was able to watch like the first, I don't know, 6 minutes of it, but it's like 11 minutes long. So we'll play a little bit of that. Lori says that happens to me too. It's because we're loud and forceful. I don't think of you as short. I'm 5'1" and shrinking. My mom is shrinking. My mom and I used to be the same height. My daughter is now taller than me. And I've seemed to have maintained my height. But yeah, my mom is definitely short. Vilma, I'm short, 5'3", curly hair. Happy Short Person Appreciation Day. Donald says your voice sounds like a taller, bigger person, I think. It's a taller. Is it because I'm loud? Donald, are you saying it's because I'm loud? All right. Kim McAllister finally made it to the show. Hello, my friend. Are you gonna miss my last live show? You cannot miss my last live show.
Never.
I'd be
Not even
very
a little
sad.
bit.
Now don't give it away. But did you get my e-card? Did you check your email this morning?
I got it. I haven't looked at it.
Okay, don't open it then.
Okay.
Open it after the show. I'm telling everybody, if you did not get one, because I think I had everybody's. I mean, we're talking hundreds of people here, right?
Yeah.
So I was creating an email database. I hope I got everybody. But again, if you did not get an email from me, it would say it's from the Nikki Medoro Show. Just email me and I'll send it to you. And it's I like it. It's cute. It's cute. I wanted to send you guys something. So there you go. Okay. So I was saying, Kim, that it's Short Person Appreciation Day.
Okay.
Because today is the shortest day of the year and the winter solstice.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. That's what I was waiting to say. Do you know what else is going to be happening soon?
What?
You will be able to see the Star of Bethlehem, the Christmas moon, and Santa's sleigh in the night sky. Okay, so here, all my astrologers out there, astronomers. I was like, astrology is not what I'm talking about. Astronomers out there. Okay, so the story behind the Star of Bethlehem, also called the Christmas star. There are two to choose from this December. Now, Venus is visible before dawn, but it's Jupiter after sunset that makes the best argument for the Star of Bethlehem. It's in the southeast. It's very, very bright. And so that's why they say it's the brightest. It's the best time of year to see Jupiter with the naked eye. You can find it on today, Thursday the 21st, and tomorrow the 22nd. So you have to look in the southeast part of the sky, and you'll be able to see that. Of course, it's the winter solstice. The point where the sun is above the Tropic of Capricorn at noon, which is the farthest south it appears to shine. So if you are near anywhere where you can see the sunset today, you can watch the solstice sunset and toast to the fact that the earth rotates on an axis tilted at 23.5 degrees. And that's the reason for the seasons. And let's see, we also have shooting stars. There's only about 10 shooting stars per hour are expected tomorrow, but it's a good opportunity to go stargazing. Let's see. I also think the Geminid showers are supposed to be happening around this time as well. And then tonight, yeah, tonight is the cold moon, which this year earns the name Christmas moon because it falls on Boxing Day. Oh, this is the day after Christmas, not today. Tuesday, December 26th is Boxing Day. And if you look at the moon, it's the Christmas moon. And then finally, Santa's sleigh. You could visit NASA's Spot the Station website. It also has a smartphone app, but it's called Spot the Station. And you could see Santa's sleigh speeding across the night sky, hitting all the houses. And you know the story, right? Is that somebody made they dialed the number wrong and they got NORAD or whatever. And that's how it started, where you can call this number and go to this website and see Santa and all sorts of stuff. So it was somebody that was in the Christmas spirit, and that's how it happened. We are going to do a bunch of Christmas type stories in addition to the more serious news of the day. Some of the Christmas ones, like I mentioned, we'll talk about Christmas cards. We're going to talk about stockings. There's this debate that always seems to crop up every Christmas about stockings. I will play you the the indictment before Christmas. I'll play you a little bit of that as well. Because again, I don't know if you saw the headlines, and I'm sure Kim is following it in her news. California is looking to follow Colorado's steps in keeping Trump off the ballot. I will get to what you guys think about the associates of Epstein being named. The reason why I wanted to just touch on it briefly is because some of these people are innocent. Like, they didn't do anything. They weren't, I think everybody that's associated with Epstein, everyone's going to call a child molester, right? A sex trafficker, those sorts of things. And there's some people that just did business with the guy. If your name was on it and you weren't doing anything terrible, how would you feel about this list? Well, they have some time to get their name.
Did you hear about this one lady who is asking a judge to keep her name off the list because she fears retribution?
Absolutely. I would. If I had done business with somebody that was Jeffrey Epstein and I did not have anything to do with the illicit business, that's why I think they're giving them till February to appeal to get your name sealed. So when it be released. Now, I have no problem doing that as long as you prove it before a judge that you didn't do anything wrong. But if you did, I want to know who it is. And I'm sorry. I'm putting my money on it is red, blue, purple, all sorts of people have something up with Jeffrey Epstein. I do not think it's the Democrats only or the Republicans only. I think it's dirty, dirty people is what I think. So we'll see what comes of that as well. And then in the last part of the show, Emily Hoeven with the San Francisco Chronicle's editorial board is supposed to join us. I sent her the link. I didn't get any confirmation, but she's always good at coming. So she interviewed San Francisco DA Brooke Jenkins. She went down one-on-one and got her take on London Breed's plan to deal with drug dealing in the city. And how do you balance, getting these people off the street because people try to get clean, but the drug dealers make it hard versus are we going to do mass incarcerations of these people? Because that could happen. And then NIMBYs beware, Emily writes, California's builder remedy just got a powerful legal ally. And that, of course, is Attorney General Rob Bonta. And so what does this mean? I mean, the builder's remedy, how many of you are driving around your neighborhoods and you are just seeing these like buildings popping up left and right? I don't know if it's happening in Petaluma, but in San Jose, everywhere I turn, it seems like there's new housing going up. And on one hand, I'm glad because we need to build more housing. On the other hand, if the builder's remedy is used, a lot of things go by the wayside on rules, height, things like that. So we'll talk to Emily about that toward the end of the show. All right, let's get some more headlines. Click the thumbs up button to show your support for the show. We love it. We appreciate it. The super chat is live. And again, thank you to Steven for starting us off with a $3 super sticker. Harry came in also with that $10 super sticker, and we really do appreciate all of the support, you guys. It's just amazing what you guys can contribute. Again, the Patreon, because it's monthly and you don't have to think about it once you sign up. If you could please consider becoming an official Medorable, I would totally appreciate it. Kim would appreciate it. It's simple. You just go to NIKKI'S click the Patreon link. In 2024, I've been saying this, I'm brainstorming other ways. I don't want to leave people out. I want to give everybody what that's a Patreon subscriber what they get right now. But I am thinking about doing some type of tiers just because we have to keep the show going. And so I'll be putting out a survey probably on Patreon this week asking for your take on, what more would you like to see, maybe off hours from myself, from the show. And so let me know there as well. We always take PayPal. PayPal doesn't take any money out. So just go to paypal.com, hit send, and then put in the email, NIKKI'S@gmail.com, NIKKI'S@gmail.com. We have our merch shop. My brother's so sweet. He texted me yesterday. He's like, I got another sweatshirt for myself. So I'm like, thanks for the support, my brother. I love you. It's all of these links are in the show notes, including the link to my favorite things. If you're looking for some last minute gifts, please go there as well. All right. So we'll talk some Christmas stuff, some Trump stuff, indictment before Christmas stuff. But first, here's some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Let's start right at the airport. Yep, it is here. It is the busiest travel day of this week, busier than this time last year when thousands of flights were stopped by stormy weather. Remember that? Millions of people were stranded at the airport. Yeah, the trade group Airlines for America expects more than 39 people will fly over the holidays. Today, one of the very biggest days.
Well, my parents left last night, and they were totally delayed by hours. My mom's like, we're never getting out of here. And I'm scared because we're meeting them. And I'm like, oh, please, I don't want to be delayed. I think there's nothing worse, especially during the holidays when you have plans, right? So if I'm late, then this has to be pushed back and that has to be pushed back. And it just turns into a total S show. But the weather yesterday was awful.
Yeah, it was.
And so I'm hoping since the rain is moving out that it won't be too bad since this is the busiest travel day of the year.
Well, our fingers are crossed that everything goes smoothly at the
Exactly.
airport for you. Threats against Colorado Supreme Court justices who barred former President Trump from the state's Republican primary ballot are flooding social media. Man, are people ever ugly. It's a nonpartisan nonprofit organization that conducts public interest research that is reporting this. The group Advanced Democracy has identified what it calls significant violent rhetoric against the justices, often in response to Trump's posts about Tuesday's ruling on his Truth Social platform. So he goes on Truth Social, whips it up, and then his, violent minions come out, and they have to know the threats are going to be made. Man.
Well, of course. I mean, but I think in any case, I think being a judge is very difficult and dangerous. I mean, you have people's lives, you decide whether they have freedom or not. And
Sure.
pardon me, I'm so stuffy right now. Another thing I want to get to if we have time is Clarence Thomas, right? There was this ProPublica article about him not being paid enough back in the early aughts or whatever. But when you make decisions that people are upset about, yes, you're going to get heat. So I don't think that's anything new for judges. But what's interesting about this, Kim, is Trump is using his microphone to incite people to violence. It's literally as if he's proving the case. Like, you do this. You constantly do this. Like, no, you're not president right now, but your words lead to some action. Hopefully there's not any violent action. But it's really, really, it's really interesting that they seem to be making the case of why Trump doesn't deserve to be president.
Well, as you mentioned, California is trying to keep former President Trump off the primary ballot. State lawmakers already called the attorney general to push for a court ruling. Now, Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis is turning to the Secretary of State to explore legal options too. This move follows the one in Colorado, that historic ruling to ban Trump from the ballot for trying to overturn the election and his alleged actions the day the U.S. Capitol was attacked.
And did you see that when Colorado's Supreme Court put in their decision, they actually quoted Neil Gorsuch's comments when he was still like a federal judge or whatever, saying it should be decided by the states who was on the ballot. And I was thinking the exact same thing. States handle the election, not the feds, right? Every state runs their own election. That's how they do it. So I really don't know, even though I'm not optimistic that the Supreme Court is going to, rule with Colorado, but it does seem if states are allowed to run their own elections, then they also get to decide who is on the ballot. So it's going to be interesting to see if the U.S. Supreme Court goes against the Colorado judges, their reasoning, when in fact they do quote a now justice of the Supreme Court who even said it should be up to the states.
What's interesting that you mentioned that because the state of California has never had to do this before. We've never had to deal with this before, right? We've never seen anything like this.
Never.
And
right.
so we don't have a protocol for how to do it and when to do it. And so that is the point of a new effort underway in deciding who can appear on California's election ballots. State Senator Dave Min plans to introduce a bill next year that would let the Secretary of State determine if presidential candidates are eligible. He posted on Instagram that he was inspired by Colorado's decision to keep Trump off that primary ballot, saying he never thought a president would commit insurrection or rebellion, and yet here we are. So
yeah, I mean, I think the Secretary of State should have a lot of power, right? I mean, they run the elections. I want to know what the rules are, and they really need to be clear. It can't be, I feel this way, or it looks you know what I mean? There needs to be rules, bars. You need to have this. You can't do that. You can't have this on your those sorts of things. And so I don't have a problem with it. But again, like, we are in uncharted territory with Trump. And that's the problem, is that we're having to kind of create and or reinforce rules we've never had to before, simply because this guy is such an asshat, and he's dangerous for this country. So
Did you hear about this story out of Baltimore?
I don't know.
This, I think it was Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore. There was a live televised interview with
Mhm.
a woman who was running for mayor as a Democrat. Her name is Sheila Dixon, and she was giving this interview in her home, in
Okay.
her own house.
Okay.
And somebody, I don't know if they broke in, what happened, they started throwing objects at her and heckling her. This all happens within
What?
her own house. Yes. This woman, Sheila Dixon, served as the mayor of Baltimore from 2007 to 2010, and now she's running to serve again in 2024. She was being interviewed by video link. So the reporters weren't in her house. She was in her house. She was like kind of on a Zoom kind of thing, right?
Right.
Um, and that's when and it was being widely viewed, and it's on, I guess, TikTok and other things.
Yeah, I'm as you're talking, I'm gonna try to find it. Go ahead.
Wild. So, yeah, I guess she had a cold during the interview, and so her voice was kinda croaky, but she was talking about public safety and a town hall that was taking place later that day. She said the biggest concerns over crime were 3 things: people don't feel safe, people are afraid, carjackings, thefts, stealing cars, and people wanna see the presence of officers in their community, engaged with them, walking the beat, talking with them, etcetera. And that's when an article of clothing flew by her face.
Oh, here we go. I don't know if this sound is very good though, because this person's like recording their TV. But let me see if it'll work. Hold on, let me share my screen real quick. Here we go. So I think I got it queued up to right where you were talking about.
Right.
Something's gonna go across. So somebody's recording their TV. So the sound might
Mhm.
not be good, but here we go. So there's a piece of clothing that goes.
And then it keeps coming.
Can you imagine? She's like, stop throwing my dirty clothes. And
And then she gets pelted.
do we know if it's somebody that lived in the house? Do we know who it was? Because this person's saying, was it the husband? Oh, there she goes. She doesn't seem frightened. I mean, don't you think you would say something like, hey, there's somebody in my house right now?
Or pause your video for a moment or something.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
don't
it seems like
know.
she knows this person. I wish that the sound was better on this. I apologize. I was just trying to find something on
There's
the
some
fly for it.
yelling
Yeah, there's some
going on.
yelling in the
Mhm.
background there. And that's kind of scary, but it does seem like, I
It's a
don't know.
man off screen
Yeah.
who is heard talking loudly. She glances at him repeatedly, mouths something to him. There's a lot of feedback apparently there. Um,
That is so at the very least, embarrassing, right?
oh
Like, are
man.
you kidding me right now? Can you stop? But at the same time, who was that man? So I'm trying to see. Yeah, it doesn't say.
The anchor ends the interview saying, "Well, we hear that you're fighting through this, so we're gonna let you conserve your voice, and we'll see you tonight at the town hall."
Are
Whoa.
you telling me that they did not say anything about the fact that clothes and stuff was being thrown at her face?
No, and
That
people
is
were
so
questioning that.
weird.
People are like, "Listen, she needs help. You never even asked if she was okay." Like, she's
I don't mean to
obviously
laugh, but she's okay because she's not dead. So we know
you're
that
like,
much,
"We're gonna
right?
let you go do that." I mean, what?
Wow.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's so I mean, if it was her husband or boyfriend, right? Like, oh my gosh. But okay, well,
Got a problem.
that's a
Yeah.
problem. Yeah, exactly. That's live television for you people. That's live TV.
There's this long delayed vote expected today by the UN Security Council on a resolution calling for a humanitarian pause in the Israel Hamas war. The vote has been pushed back 3 times now because of disagreements over the language in the resolution. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken defended the U.S. position on the war yesterday and said he's heard no one calling for Hamas to lay down its arms and surrender.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think and again, we really we follow this, of course, but we're not going to solve it on this show.
Mhm.
But everything that I keep hearing, it's not as if October 7th wasn't a tragedy, but the disparity in the number of civilians killed is so disproportionate um that it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. And yeah, I just it's I want it to stop. Every time there's a call for a ceasefire, I say yes. But again, it has to be on both sides. It has to.
Americans released in a prisoner swap deal between the Biden administration and Venezuela are now back in the United States. 6 Americans wrongfully detained landed at Kelly Airfield Annex in San Antonio, Texas, late yesterday. Venezuela also extradited Leonard Glenn Francis to the U.S. He's a former defense contractor who is at the center of one of the Navy's largest corruption cases. Well, not everybody might be innocent.
No, and I mean, of course, innocence is where whatever line you're standing on, right? It's like, oh, if they're an American, they're innocent, and if they're not, they're not. It's but these prisoner exchanges, very complicated. It's very complicated on, who is released and what message that sends. So, but of course, I'm glad that we got the Americans back.
You don't see this very often. Mostly it's in the United States, right?
Okay.
But now we've got an international case, at least 10 people dead and dozens injured after a mass shooting at a university in Prague. This incident was reported to have happened at Charles University near the Charles Bridge in a very popular tourist area. Officials say the gunman has been eliminated and the university building evacuated.
Wow.
So,
I mean, that's not something you want to hear about right around the holidays.
And then there's New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez, who now wants a 2-month-long delay of his federal corruption trial.
Of course he does. Of course he does. I mean, come on. It's the holidays, Kim. Let's put this off a little bit.
You might get some more gold bars for Christmas. Who knows? The trial is slated to begin May 6th, but Menendez's lawyers want it tabled until after the June primary, asking a judge to delay it until July. In the meantime, the Democrat faces federal corruption charges as the result of a year-long investigation during which he allegedly accepted hundreds of thousands in bribes, including cash and gold bars, to benefit Egyptian leaders. Texas Governor Greg Abbott confirming that his state sent a private chartered plane carrying migrants to O'Hare Airport in Chicago. Mayor Brandon Johnson reacted to the move by saying the governor of Texas is determined to cause chaos throughout the country. More than 120 asylum seekers were on board that flight that landed on Tuesday night.
And every time this is mentioned, I always use, and I'm not meaning this in a positive way, but it is genius. It is a genius move. He is going to make the president do something about it. He's going to. And God forbid we get Trump back in the White House. I don't know how horrific the response is going to be. It's a very complicated, difficult crisis. I will say it is a crisis. We are not dealing with it properly, but we haven't been dealing it properly for generations. Okay. We have not figured out a way to benefit from legal immigration and migrants and asylum seekers, and then handle the influx of people. You guys know how I feel about this. You can't have thousands of people a day or a week coming in across the border and then think that we're handling who can be in and who cannot be in. It's just, we don't have the manpower or the infrastructure set up yet for it. And I will say, we need to do something about it. I mean, it needs to be done. And so for Abbott to kind of share the pain, as they say, with other states, it is a genius move. It is.
Today is the shortest day of the year in the United States.
It is.
Winter solstice begins tonight at 10:27 p.m. Eastern, marking the start of winter in the Northern Hemisphere. Friday, the day will start getting longer again, little by little.
I love it. That's why I love the winter solstice. I'm like, finally, every day it's going to get better because it's dark so freaking early. I hate it. I don't like it. I feel like I'm always supposed to be in bed. I was running like a mad woman yesterday. I had so many errands to run because my husband's been sick. And so it's kind of, running out of time here, people. And so I didn't stop yesterday. And all of a sudden I'm waiting to pick up Nugget from the groomer. And I'm like, it's almost bedtime. I still had the show to prep. I still had my Christmas card to do. I'm like, it's not that late, but mentally and emotionally, you feel like it. I don't like
off.
this. I just don't like this time of year. I can't wait for it to be lighter later in the day.
The highest grossing movies of 2023 have been revealed.
Ah, okay.
Nothing topped Greta Gerwig's Barbie, which raked in more than $1.4 billion since it hit theaters in July. Christopher Nolan's historical drama Oppenheimer and the Super Mario Brothers movie rounded out the top 3
I
highest
never saw
grossing movies.
that one. Did you see the Super Mario Brothers movie?
Doop, 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 doop. Jacob saw it in the theater, and then he just watched it again a couple of days ago.
Is Jack Black in that one? Is that the one with Jack Black?
I wasn't paying attention to the movie.
I love you.
I was prepping the show and while he watched the movie, I was sitting next to him prepping the show. Is that bad, do you think? To have I want to be there with him, but I have stuff to do. So technically we're watching the movie together.
Are your kids home from school? Like, are they on break?
No, but they're getting out every day on minimum day this week.
Oh, so they go all the way through Friday?
They go, today's the last day.
Okay.
And there's no homework for Jacob's class this week because it's Christmas break.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
he has no homework to do. He's like wandering around and he's like, can we watch a movie? And I thought, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, why not? I know today's the kids' first day home. They had their last day of school for both of them was yesterday. So that's Dylan in the background. Because thank God. But okay, so you were a little late coming on. Thank God Dylan woke up because my husband went back to work today. Thank God. And I totally overslept. I think I hit the snooze button because I was sleeping on the couch because he's been sick and I do not need my cold again. And so I almost overslept as well. I was like, oh no, but I got up. Thank God, Dylan's still keeping his school schedule apparently. So that's really, really, really nice.
You know, it's always this time of year, this week before winter break, same for the week before summer break, where there's so much to do today. And I'm one of the room moms. So today's the class party. The little Christmas gathering.
I love it.
Last night I'm running around. I'm trying to buy cupcakes. I'm digging out my crock pot for the hot cider, trying to wash the crock pot. And Julia had her winter band concert at the high school.
Oh, how was that?
It went on and on and on and on. And on and on, and it was never going to stop.
Oh,
and they invited the junior high and the other junior high.
Don't they know it's a work night? It might not be a school night, but like a work night.
God.
Like, come on.
It started at 7:00, and it was only for 2 hours, but it felt like
so long.
Another mom and I were looking, and the band in between songs, the band teacher was talking. And we were looking at each other. We're like, if he doesn't stop flapping his lips, we're going to be here until midnight. Meanwhile, I've got stuff to do, and it's like, I'll tell you what. And you know the worst part? My daughter's, I love that she's really into band. This is great. She's found something she loves.
This is the S sandwich that Kim's about to start. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to have to sit through this stuff for the next 4 years.
Yep, exactly. I hope you love it. You know, at least it's not something like, so my son took saxophone, even though I wanted him to take it again this year, but he didn't. But I loved watching him perform. But yeah, I feel you. After a while, once your kid's on, you're like, okay, can I sneak out, please? Like, I'm done. But you can't, of course. You stay for all the kids. But it's a long thing. I got into this other debate about sitting through things. This might be an unpopular opinion, and I don't know if I've shared this before, so do not attack me. But I was talking with one of my good friends, and I was like, because she went to go see The Lion King in San Francisco.
Oh, that's fun.
And I was like, oh, have you seen it?
Yeah, it's great.
I want to go see it.
I haven't seen it this time, but several years ago we saw it. It was good.
I want to go see it so badly. I'm like, oh, that sounds so awesome. So much better than going to see the Nutcracker. And she's like, what? And I was like, and she's like, I love the Nutcracker. I could watch the Nutcracker. I'm like, if there is any way that you could torture me, it is to make me sit through a ballet. And it's not that I don't like the music, and it's not that I don't think the ballerinas and whatever are talented. It is boring. It is eye-bleeding boring to sit there and nobody says anything. Like, I'm just not that sophisticated, I don't think. I just think I'm not sophisticated enough to not have words. Like, I just don't think. I'm like, I need more action. I know the story. I totally remember as a kid, as a young girl, because I danced. And so my parents took us to the Nutcracker thinking we would love it. I remember we had great seats. I remember we were really close to the stage. And I remember being bored. And then my daughter, for her Girl Scouts years ago, we did this whole mom and daughter trip to see the Nutcracker. And I could not stop looking at my phone for the time. I'm like, when is this ending? When is this ending? When is this? I was so freaking bored. But I know some people love it. Like my friend was like, I can't believe you. And I was like, I don't care. I know it's the time of season
I'm
for the
completely
Nutcracker,
with
but
you.
no, I
Yeah.
don't hate it. It's just boring. So boring. Boring.
So when Julia was little, she was taking ballet lessons
Uh-huh.
and she loved it. And we took her to the Nutcracker and she wore a tutu and she danced along with the ballerina.
Oh,
She was in the
that's really
aisle. We
sweet.
were kind of up in the balcony and she kept kind of smacking this guy in the head in front of us. But he kept looking back and she was the cutest little thing you have ever
Oh, you
seen.
can't get mad at her then. You're like,
He
it's okay.
couldn't. He's like, "Oh my god, she's so cute." And it's so nobody around us was upset because it was a really adorable. That was the only time I ever saw the Nutcracker because I was watching her and it was so funny.
Right.
And if it was annoying to a person, I would have stopped it immediately. So, doesn't like your kid smacking somebody in the head. That's not cute. No, it was really, even he was like, "Oh my god, that's awesome."
Yeah.
But other than that, no. I've seen it once, I'm done.
No,
Mm-mm.
yeah, I don't need to ever see the Nutcracker again, ever. And then people are like, "Oh, when we did go to the San Jose one, not the San Francisco one," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, if going to the San Francisco one means it's just longer, and there's snow that falls from the sky. Snow is not enough. Snow is not enough to keep me entertained. I'm sorry,
Well, the
I don't
costumes
care.
and the sets are pretty amazing in San Francisco, but you're right. It's the
No,
same
it's the
damn
same
thing.
crap.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm not.
For a lot of people,
I
it's
need words.
tradition. Like, my husband will
Oh,
take the
thank
kids and they
God, I
go
love
every
that.
year, and that's tradition.
No.
They didn't go this year, but often they will go, and they have a great time. I'll be home wrapping presents.
Yeah, Ron says, I took my poor mom, I took her to say Les Miserables and
Mhm.
Andrea Bocelli and could not stay awake. I mean, at least they're singing with the opera. Like, I've gone to the opera
I like
and
Les
that's
Mis.
okay. There's
Mhm.
words. Even if
Yeah.
it's not English, I can like at least get into it. But the ballet, it's just, yeah. And I used to do ballet. And that's what my friend was saying. She's like, didn't you dance? I said, yeah. She's like, you didn't do ballet. I'm like, I did ballet. She's like, you didn't do point. I'm like, I did point. I just don't find it entertaining. And I don't want to sit there for hours on end watching it. Sorry. It's not me. It's just not me. So.
Did you send Christmas cards, like physical Christmas cards this year?
No, we were just before you came on.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. We could talk about it now, but I sent the e-card to
Yeah.
our family on the show. But no, sometimes I'll send New Year's cards, like Happy New Year cards,
Mhm.
if I'm like, oh my God, it's so late. And I should have this year. I have so many great pictures, like that I could have made a
Yeah.
cute card out of it. But
It
no, I didn't.
For the last couple of years, it's just caught me, and then they start coming in the mail, and I haven't done it, and there's stuff to be done, and I flake on it, and people are gonna stop sending me cards because they're not getting one back.
I know you get off the list but do you think people really keep track, or do they just have their Christmas list and you're on the
I don't
list, and
know.
if you get one, then you get one?
Sometimes I collect the envelopes thinking, well, these are the people I need to
You
send
need
them
every-
to next year. Yeah. Well, if you sent or received holiday cards this year, you're following a long-time tradition that's been around for generations. USDA historian Ann Eflin says before the early 1840s, people sent each other Christmas letters, but the first card sent in England helped speed up the process of sending goodwill to your friends and family. The cards gained popularity and then started being sent in the United States by the 1850s. So it's a
All right. I'm going
long-standing
to show you
tradition.
this video just because we're talking about it. All
Mhm.
right. Now, Ellen says, I do not want e-cards. I like to make it a season event, long time tradition. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I don't know if I sent you my e-card. If you want it, I don't know if you were on the list. I think you were on the list. I don't know. I can't keep track of everybody. If you
Click
want one of my
delete, Ellen.
e-cards, I will send you one, Ellen. I would love to send you one. If you don't want it, you don't want it. But this woman, she doesn't want it. She doesn't want an e-card. She doesn't want any of it. Here she is.
It's getting to be Christmas and all. Don't send me a Christmas card. I'm gonna throw that shit in the trash. I'm gonna look at it. Melissa, I'm sorry you didn't know. I'm just now telling you. And y'all look so cute and your family dressed up for the occasion. And y'all look precious. And I'm about to throw in the garbage. I can't have that clutter laying around here. You know what I'm saying? Send me a digital picture, send it to me and say, Merry Christmas. No, don't do that either. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'll see y'all on, I'll see y'all. Okay. Don't send me no card.
A lot of people were upset that she said that. They're like, no, I like receiving the cards. I just don't like the pressure of making and mailing the cards in time. it's hard. Just like you said, it catches up on me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, do I have everyone's address? And then who do I send it to and who don't I send it to? And you know what you could always tell? One year I was really on top of it. This was years ago. I was really on top of it. And I sent all these Christmas cards. And then like kind of the window where you know that you were on the A list of receiving a Christmas card. And then all of a sudden you sent yours. And then all of a sudden you got a Christmas card from somebody that you never received before, which is totally fine. I'm completely fine with that. But yeah, I love getting them. And I was saying I got this year because of the new house and where we used to display our Christmas cards doesn't work anymore.
Right.
I got these string lights. They're little thin ones and they have little clips. And so you can clip everything on it. And so I have that in the kitchen. And
That's
so
what
when
I
we
have
get
too.
them,
Yeah.
and then so it's cute. And I actually really, really like it. But I haven't received a lot of Christmas cards so far because I don't live in my old house. I wonder if my old house is getting all of my Christmas cards. I don't know.
So funny.
I mean, I sent a forwarding address, but who knows if it's going to happen.
That's why you have to send out cards because you have a new address.
Exactly.
So
Well, my friend that moved to Idaho, she sent one. She's like, this is the last time we're moving, I promise. So I have to save that address. But yeah, I know some people, you know what they do? And this was in the response to that woman's video. And I know a mom that does this. She saves all of the Christmas cards she's ever received and she puts them in a gold ring. And so through the years, the same family, she sees them grow. And it's kind of like this memory thing. I don't want to store stuff like that. Like,
no.
And I know like hard copies of things mean something, you know, instead of just digital and on Facebook, but I know what your family looks like. I see them online. So it's not the same as it used to be in the 80s and 90s, right? Like where you're like, oh my God, look how much Sally's kids have grown. Yeah, I saw them on Facebook every day this past week. So
I think during the season, during the month of December, maybe a couple weeks into January, when your Christmas decorations are still up and you have the cards hanging, friends and family gracing the wire with the clips, which is kind of how I do it too. My sister does something interesting. She takes ribbons.
Ooh.
Like just ribbons that are hanging straight down, like a long chunk of ribbon, and then she'll staple the card to the ribbon. And then leave some space of ribbon in between. It looks really pretty. And so she'll have like on some of the walls strips of ribbon with cards hanging. And it's cool because if you're at her house and there's other people there, if she's having a gathering or whatever, you can stand around and look at the pictures. So it's I mean, I don't know. I like it. I think it's I don't agree with the woman who's just getting them in the mail.
No, I want one. I just hate making them.
I don't think they're clutter. I do feel bad at the end throwing them away.
Yeah.
Because there is a moment where they're going sayonara, but
unless you save it like my friend. So let's read some of these comments though. Knit One says, I love Christmas cards. Some have great artwork. I look for vintage ones in the thrift stores and use them for display. Even framed a few. Don't send any. Walnut Creek says, yeah, back then no copy machines, had to handwrite every letter.
Oh man.
Yeah. Eric doesn't even have a place to put the cards. Sandy loves Christmas cards. I miss getting tons of them in the mail, but I only send one or two every year now. It's just it's sad that the tradition is dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I think I like to receive. It's hard to give. Eric says cards are supposed to be an excuse for blowing off the person for the entire year.
Well, I sent you a Christmas card. You mean you want me to call you sometimes too? What?
Chris says, I like the cards and the pics, but save the life story. And MJ agrees. A cousin sends cards every year talking about how great things are and the big trips, kids' big new jobs, things like that. And it can get a bit annoying at times. Yeah. What do you think about that? I mean,
it's the time of year of the braggadocious boasting moment. My mom does that. She sends out this big letter every year where she puts some, no offense, Mom, if you're listening, because I love you, but she puts on this sappy quote. Usually she's going to be like, sappy. Yeah. Sappy quote.
Aww.
Like family and blah, 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 this time of year. It was some quote that she finds. And then she'll proceed to say, friends are everything and la, la, la. Right. And then she'll go paragraph by paragraph of what each of us are doing.
And then do you like what she writes about you?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Did she disclose the whole KGO thing?
Oh yeah. Sometimes
Kim got laid off.
Sometimes I take a red pen and I circle mistakes and I put it back in her mailbox.
Oh,
she lives right next door.
That's so funny.
She was a teacher. It's interesting because, she's a stickler for that kind of thing. And so then, when I find misspellings or the a word used wrongly, it's
Right.
like I have a little bit of glee over it, a little bit.
That's
No.
hilarious.
But yeah, it's this long, and I just wonder, does anybody care what we're,
No,
about the
no.
fact that, hi, Dylan in the
Well,
corner.
I
Does
know.
anybody care that, so and so got a new job, or so and so's this or that? Or that we went to, whatever trip where we went. Nobody cares.
I did a letter one year, and this is before we had kids. I'm pretty sure it was before we had kids. Maybe we had Marley. And it was all ridiculous stuff. Like, we had a dog. Ram
Mhm.
was the first dog that we had with our roommates. And had some ridiculous thing about him. Oh, Ram chewed like 15 toys this year. It was kind of that. It was like not an
Uh-huh.
accomplishment letter. I was trying to be clever, but that was the first and the last time I did it. It was way too much effort to be that clever. I was like, yeah, no. Mama of Three Boys says, I would love to do Christmas cards, but it's too hard to get my boys to sit still and clean to get a good picture. Don't. I would much rather have a picture of everybody just like barely looking at it blurry. You know what I mean? Instead of the totally staged kind of photo. I like the ones where you're on vacation or
Mhm.
it's a phone picture or whatever, those are the ones I like. But Christmas cards, they can be Dylan Elf on the Shelf. He left. Did he leave? Yeah, Dylan left. Yeah, he's good. He's right behind this little screen over here, so he's listening to the show.
Just hanging out,
Crafter May says, I'm starting a new tradition. I love to make ornaments and I will send it with a note. Hey, I want to be on that list. That's
Cool.
pretty
Yeah,
nice.
me
That's
too.
like cards are here and difficulty and ornament and making something would be way higher. But if you're crafty, which I'm
I
gathering you are.
did get one Christmas card this year from a cousin who lives in Alaska.
Right.
And they have a baby, like maybe almost one.
Okay.
And so it's my cousin holding his son and his wife standing next to him with her hands on her belly. And it says, Merry Christmas from him, her, the baby, the dog, and baby number 2. So it's also an announcement,
Oh, well,
right?
that's cute.
Yeah, that was cute. I like that. Yeah.
You're bad, Kim. Vilma says, just grin and bear it. One day you'll wish she was around to send you a card.
You're probably true. But it's funny. She always she walks the letter to me and she has me read it.
Uh-huh.
And
She
she'll
takes
say,
it back.
what now?
She takes it back. She's like, you
No.
don't get that back.
She'll say, all right, I'll take the complaints. Go ahead.
Aw, at least it's a tradition now. See, there you go. It's a
Yeah.
tradition. John says, sending Christmas cards. Ain't nobody got time for that. Please, I have enough to do in December. Exactly. Like I would have to plan it. I am disappointed in myself a little bit. We did a digital one, I think. Was it last year during COVID? Because we had the dog and I had to send out a picture with the dog. So that was, I think, the last e-card that we sent. I don't think that we did. I don't know. I don't think we did a hard copy one. We haven't done a hard copy one in a while. And you know what? I'm tired of it falling on. I don't know who it falls on in your house, but oftentimes it falls on the mom who has enough darn things to do. I got to go grocery shopping. I got to do all kinds of things. I don't need to add a Christmas card to my list. But if you want to mail me one, I will take it. So there you go.
That's funny that you say that because one year my husband said, I guess we're not doing Christmas cards this year. And I'm like, I don't know. Have you done them?
Exactly.
Have you?
Have you taken a picture? Have you gone on Shutterfly or whatever you use to create them?
It was this epiphany. And he's like, oh. And then he made it. He made the card.
Oh, well, there you go.
Like, okay, that's exactly what I was hoping would happen. That's right.
Did you see that debate? And this is a debate. And we're doing our whole Christmas thing right now. Did you see the debate over the stockings? Have you seen that? It comes up almost every Christmas.
I have not, although we have debates in my house over stockings because they graduated from normal size at some point in my childhood to now they're the size of half of a grown adult. They're Nikki Medoro size. You could probably climb in.
That's my husband's stocking. My husband has a stocking that goes
massive.
from the top of our fireplace all the way down to the ground. Only his. Everyone else's is a normal size. His is big, and he bought it for himself. It's like, that's my stocking now. And I go, okay, sometimes you'll have it, sometimes you won't. Here's this video. And again, this is not new. Okay. This happens almost every Christmas where we have this debate about stockings and who in your house, this is the question, who in your house fills the stocking? Okay. So here's the latest video regarding that.
Your stockings. There's my stocking over
Oh,
there.
really big. But here we go.
It's your stocking. Golden got a stocking.
The dog.
Whose is this?
Empty.
Is this an extra one?
No, that's mine.
Why is
That's
it
right.
empty?
Why is it empty?
I don't know. Santa didn't come for me.
Yeah, husband, you
Ha,
are
ha,
supposed
ha.
to fill the stocking.
There's a Saturday Night Live skit about that, about how the kids
mom
got
gets the
this,
robe.
and dad's got that, and I got a robe. And then it's like, in my stocking, I got this. And she's like, yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah, exactly. She got a robe, and she's
Yeah.
gonna go make breakfast because she's in her new robe. Yeah, I forget who the actress is. She's the one from Bridesmaids. I forget her name right now. But yeah, but I will say this: I don't fall into that. My husband has filled my stockings. I think one year I forgot to put anything in his stocking. It's not that he didn't get gifts, just nothing fit in the stocking, and I didn't get like the toothbrushes. I had done it, for that somebody else. Will you go away, my son of mine? But stockings were filled for everybody else except for him, and I felt really bad. I've never made that mistake again. Now, I saw when this video went kind of viral on Facebook, some of my friends said that they have given the job of filling the parents' stockings to the kids. The kids have reached an age in which they are now in charge of filling the stockings.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've never thought about that.
Yeah. So in our old tradition, and it was gluttony and excess. We used to have we still do have these massive stockings that we would all then go to my mom's house or my sister's house, and everybody in the family would put something in the stocking. So I would have stuff for my nieces and my nephews and my sister and my mom, and there were so many stockings to fill. And so you would come with a certain number of items for each stocking. And then we sit around all Christmas morning and open these stockings. But it got to the point where not only was the stocking filled, the half human size stocking, but then there was a bag of other presents.
Stuff that couldn't fit.
It was so many presents, and it's stocking stuffers. So it's all the stuff that you really don't need.
Right.
Like from the dollar store or whatever. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want all that stuff. And so we stopped it. We stopped doing that. And now my mom, because my mom really loves traditions, my mom and
Right.
sister and I will get together on Christmas Eve day, and we open our stockings together. So my mom has that moment with us.
That's cute.
And now I've reined stockings back into just a few items in a normal size stocking. So it's not this, because it got out of hand.
Well,
Like,
it gets out of hand with my husband because he's in charge of edibles, the edible part, and I'm in charge of the practical. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how it is.
Like he puts candy in the stockings?
Yes, and stuff like that. And then I put the other kind of stuff.
Items. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's fun, but when I'm doing his stocking, I mean, it's different, right? So I got a few things, and I'll tell you the truth. I got a couple things for my own stocking.
I do.
I think
'Cause
there's
no one
something
else-
coming on the way. I'm like, I need that, and I'm gonna put it in my own stocking.
No one else puts it in my stocking. So I'm like, you know what?
This is what I need in my stocking. Thank you.
I need
you
this
know?
new lipstick, and so I'm gonna buy it. But yeah, my husband will always say, "Don't put anything in my stocking." I am incapable of not putting at least one or two little
You gotta put
items.
something in there. You don't want an empty stocking. on
No, and
Christmas.
so
that is so
but
depressing.
But so then it turns out that mine's the empty one, but it's fine.
Well,
Whatever.
hopefully somebody's listening. But yeah, I don't think that anybody should have an empty stocking. I mean, I think they have anything the thing that should have something in it is the stocking, right? I mean, that's the
Yeah.
whole stockings with care. Where's Saint Nick when you need him?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I did okay. I think I've done okay. I'm done. I definitely, yesterday I was waiting for Nugget to get out of the groomer. He took forever to get out of the groomer, and I'd gone to get last minute items, and I called my husband from the car, and I'm like, I'm down the street from the groomers. He's still not ready. And he's like, and I was like, if I go into another store, I'm just going to continue to spend money. I'm like, I have to just stay in the car. So I did. I stayed in the car for like 40 minutes, working on the show and all sorts of stuff, because I was like, I am done buying. Because I could walk the aisles and keep pulling things down and be like, oh, that and that and that. And this time of year, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
See, you're giving me ideas. I don't need to buy any more stuff, but maybe for my husband. My husband likes to put in. You know what? I think I'm going to do it for my brother and sister-in-law when I go to Arizona. We always tell each other, we usually, last year we started to do the white elephant for adults. Things to eat, Eric. Things to eat. I knew when I said it, I was like, things to eat. We did the white elephant last year, and it was really fun for the adults. Like my mom, my dad, my brother, sister-in-law, and then my in-laws, James and I. And the problem was, well, one, my mom seems to think that her and my dad are one person. Okay. So when I said, let's do a white elephant, she's like, they bought one gift. And I went, no, you each need to buy a gift and don't tell each other because that defeats the whole purpose of it. And I was like, if it's just one person, we have like, what, 4 gifts to exchange? That's not fun. You need to have more than that. And so they're really funny. So I don't know if we're going to do it that year, but I like the idea of scratchers. That could be a really, really good one. But then it's always a question, if they hit it big, are they going to share? Vicky says we have Dove chocolates and a seedless tangerine in each person's stocking, plus all kinds of little treasures. The tangerine, that's like a tradition, right? Like the orange, because it's the season, right?
Yeah.
This is orange season, nectarine season, all that. Not nectarine, tangerine. Yeah, that's it's a fun time of year. It's just stressful, and I can't wait to just kind of be in it and then relax. Okay.
Heather says I usually put the little mini bottles of booze and half bottles of wine in my boyfriend's stocking.
So glad that you mentioned that. So one of the things on my list,
like a mini bar in the stocking.
That's dude. Sign me up. So yesterday, my husband, again, he's getting over this cold. He went back to work today. He's such a freaking trooper. But he looks at me, and I have a million things to do once I get off air, like a million things. And he's like, can you please? And he did ask nicely. He's like, can you please get 3 gifts for the women at my work that, work the desk, the secretaries, the people that work the phones or whatever, like the women he works with. He's like, I want 3 little plants for their desk. And I go, like a plant? And he's like, yeah. And I was thinking a succulent or something cute. And then I thought to myself, so wouldn't want that. I don't want a plant for my desk for the holidays, because who knows if I'm going to be there all holidays, right? Could die or something like that, or I got to take it home. And so I'm like out and about last night because I forgot, and I came back and I had to go back out again. I got this really cute, where was it? CVS. If you go to a CVS, they have these glass, like kind of tumbler glasses.
Okay.
And has a lid on it with a wine stopper. And then on top of the lid, there's like either a snowman or a Santa. And then on the cup, it has like a funny holiday kind of drinking thing. So I got each of the ladies one of those and a small bottle of wine. And I was like, done. If I was getting something, that's what I would want. And I looked at him. I was like, I did not get plants. I got them booze. And he's like, okay. I was like, you always get booze for all the men that you work with. Women like drinking too. So
it's
like,
interesting that you would mention plants, because one of my best friends asked Jacob, what do you want for Christmas? And he told her, I want bulbs.
Are you sure he said bulbs?
He said bulbs.
Okay.
And she said, what? And he said, I really enjoy gardening with my grandma next door.
Oh,
they garden, they rake leaves, they plant things, they plant bulbs that'll grow in a few months. And he says, I'd really like some bulbs to plant so that I can see them come up.
Oh, I like that idea. And it's like saying he wants to spend time with his grandmother, which is really sweet.
He's getting some plants for Christmas. Isn't that funny?
I love that idea. Oh, see, kids, they shock you. They just become so freaking sweet. All right. Well, those were our headlines and our long Christmas section.
That's the news. If you can check the website, NIKKI'MedoroShow.com. Spread a little of your own holiday cheer there. There's the Patreon and the PayPal link.
Yes.
You go to NIKKI'MedoroShow.com and check it out. The show's crowdfunded. So we appreciate anything that you can toss our way. And thank you so much. And thanks for being here in the show as well. I'm Kim McAllister. This is the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you. And I love the comments about the card, the e-card again. I know I've received some emails. I'll send it after the show. If you did not get an e-card from me and you want it, just email me. Of course, the email address is TheNikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. I will send it off right away. I apologize, and I will put your email in my email list. I do want to play a video. Remember, I asked for videos. You know who sent us a video, Kim? So Dan sends us donations through Lori Above the Bar.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so he sent also a video. Let me turn down the music really quickly. So he sent us a cute holiday video. Here we go.
Hi, Nikki and Kim. Daniel D here. Just wanted to say thanks for all you do. Keeping the show from Station X going in a little different platform, but I wanted to say, Nikki, you tell it like it is. You're always there, and you're able to speak out, and it's really admired. And Kim, you are so kind, and you're always talking about kindness. It's really appreciated, and it's something to work on for other people. And I like the venue you have with all these guest speakers, and you change it up and move it around and have different people who aren't always the regulars. And Kim, I just wanted to say that I appreciate the way you fill in. If Nikki can't make it like tomorrow, you'll be there. That's really appreciated. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, and I'm sure the other listeners appreciate that you can also talk about your personal lives on this platform a little bit. I think it makes the community feel closer to you. It's really appreciative. And last thing, I wanted to wish you the best holiday season that you've ever had coming up in just a few days. Take care, all. Thanks a lot. Bye.
What a nice holiday message from him.
Isn't he so sweet?
Yeah, he really is.
Dan and everybody, thank you. And I got all of these emails from you guys when I sent out my e-card. Thank you so much. And look, Karen, thank you for the $20 super sticker donation. She writes, I know you're not going to be with us until the new year, Nikki. So I wanted to wish you Merry Christmas, and of course a happy new year. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Harry, for the $10 donation. I will be in Arizona, so thank you. Stephen, also thank you for the $3 donation. You guys are great. And I love Daniel's message as well, because I love this community. I really, really do. And we definitely are going to keep it going in 2024. Yeah, so I love thank you for liking my e-card. Had a certain special somebody in there. So Kim has not seen it. All right. One more Christmas thing, because Lori mentioned it and I said that I would play it. And this kind of ties in a little bit to our news, of course, with it, which is Trump and him being off ballots. Well, Stephen Colbert has come through, and I'll play a little bit of it for you guys, and come through with the indictment before Christmas. And here's a little long animated thing. It's actually really funny. I only was able to watch half cam before. I had to obviously click away and do the show, but really, really funny. So check it out. All you have to do is kind of Google the Colbert Show and indictment before Christmas and you'll find it. But Trump is, he's going to be up a creek or be protected by the U.S. Supreme Court. So we shall see. It's going to be a very, very interesting. I think if there's one thing that a lot of you responded to the e-car saying, is that 2024 is going to be a bit intense, and it's going to be. It's I don't know what's going to happen with our democracy. I hope and pray that it goes Colorado's way, and we'll see if California does it. Now, again, as Kim had mentioned in her news, Eleni Kounalakis, the lieutenant governor, has sent a letter for the Secretary of State to explore taking Trump off of our ballot. Now, is it going to happen? I don't know. I
just like saying Eleni
Kounalakis, who is going to run for governor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's going to run she put her name in the hat. Has said that she's going to run for governor. I don't know. I'm not optimistic. I'll say that. I'm really just not optimistic that it's going to go our way. And by our, I mean American democracy, protecting the Constitution and the future of our country way. But we shall see. There's not a lot of time. January 4th, I think, was the date we had mentioned yesterday, where some sort of decision needs to be had. The U.S. Supreme Court is going to be moving swiftly with this. I don't know if moving quickly is a good thing or a bad thing, but a decision has to be made. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of freaked out, Kim. I really am. I really am. Now, I'm going to tie this into the release of the sealed documents regarding Jeffrey Epstein. We already know that Epstein and Trump were friends. They have pictures together. The Clintons and Epstein were friends. So it kind of goes across all political spectrums. I mean, if there's like a Rudy Giuliani on there, I mean, if there's all these people on there, and I'm not saying Rudy Giuliani's on there, I'm naming names. I mean, do you think that this Epstein disclosure is going to have an impact on the 2024 election? Do you think like Joe Biden's name is going to be on it? I mean, I doubt it. You think Hunter Biden's name is going to be on it?
No. All these people, these billionaires, they give money to a lot of different people. And then so you have, candidates schmoozing to them.
Yes.
Try to get them to donate. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they were involved in the creepy
sex trafficking or anything. Exactly.
So I don't know what to make of it all. I don't.
I'm really, and again, because of Epstein's death, murder, suicide, whatever you choose to believe, right? There is this, I don't know, drama surrounding this. And it just seems like, is something going to happen before the names are released? That's all I keep thinking about. Is something going to happen that's going to prevent the names from being released? And I don't know. Oh, Calvin's saying Dershowitz. Harry says, how long before we see Lolita Express, the movie? I'm surprised there isn't. I mean, I know that there's been like series about the girls that have been rescued from Epstein's estate and all those sorts of things. But as far as a movie, I'm not quite sure. Maybe there has been, and it's just gone under my radar. But yeah, as for Epstein's associates, it's unclear how many have been investigated for alleged wrongdoing or will be. Some of the victims will remain unnamed due to the sensitive nature of the crimes and sexual abuse of the minors. I mean, this is a horrific story. Ghislaine Maxwell and all those people could also, if you're even associated with her, the kind of degrees of separation from this. Now, after Epstein's death, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan indicated it would focus on the conspiracy charge against him, which accused him of working with employees and associates to operate a vast sex trafficking ring involving dozens of girls. I mean, there's nothing more horrific than this. It really is awful. Yeah, I mean, what current politicians are going to be brought into this? And it'll be interesting if and when the names are released, where people's allegiances fall. Right? It's like, oh, because they have an R after their name or a D after their name, or they're married to somebody or they're running for something. Does it justify in their way? Because that's how it seems our politics has become. It's, oh my God, well, we need this person to be in office. And so the horrific things they did with Jeffrey Epstein are just kind of swept under the rug because we, quote unquote, need this person to stay in office. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Now, Judge Loretta Preska again set a January 1st release date for the more than 150 names associated with the lawsuit. So the court is allowing anyone who may be named in the documents to file an appeal before the documents are released. The judge noted, however, that some have given media interviews. So if you've talked to the media, then why are we protecting your name? And so we'll see. I don't know. It's really. Doug says Epstein's history, it's not a big deal. What's not a big deal, Doug? Knowing who his associates are? I think it's important. Yeah, Meredith says it's not history to Epstein's victims. Anonymous says the abuse definitely happened. Yes. The only question is which politicians. Oh, and then bring up Calvin, Prince Albert. Yeah, remember, disgraced. Oh, thank you, Jenny T, for the $20 super sticker. You were so sweet. Thank you.
Jenny, and I like your picture too. Very cute.
Very cute. Oh, and Gary D came in. Thank you, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
Love it. Mindy says we will find out what congressmen were involved with Epstein. I'm wondering, I don't, obviously, if they are allowed and they kind of, asked to have their name sealed from being released, I want to know how many people are having their names sealed, because that matters, right? I mean, I want to know, are we talking about a lot of people, and what were the grounds for that? Because I don't know if it could be a bombshell on who's involved in all of this. Washington, D.C. is full of sickos. I'm sorry. The world is. I'm not saying it's just Washington, D.C., but I feel like with great power comes kind of moral corruption for some people. I mean, look at Clarence Thomas. That was the other story I wanted to touch on today. Clarence Thomas, this ProPublica article, I listened to the interview yesterday of the reporter that was behind this article. And I mean, obviously, a lot of people worked on it. But apparently in 2000, January 2000, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas was bitching and moaning about not making enough money. Apparently, he was hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt.
Well, that's what happens when you live above your means. Like, if you only make a certain amount, then maybe you ought not to spend more than that. I don't know.
At the time, his salary was $173,000, a little bit more than that. They say it would be about $300,000 salary today in today's money. He was one of the least wealthy members of the court, and he was always pushing for more ways to make money. In private conversations, Thomas repeatedly talked about removing the ban on justices giving paid speeches. And then he was talking to somebody on a plane about bitching and moaning, how he thinks that some of the justices, one or two, may actually resign from the court because they're not making enough money. Now, the court never lifted the ban on speaking fees or gave justices a major raise. But according to ProPublica, in the years that followed, Thomas himself accepted a stream of gifts from friends and acquaintances. Some were large, small, private school tuition, tires, free international vacations on a private jet,
the mansion on wheels. Yeah.
And when I was listening to this interview, Kim, the thing that I kept running through my mind is it's always going back to there's not a hard, fast rule, but you want to avoid the appearance of impropriety. That was what was constantly being said. But if that's all it is, then somebody like Clarence Thomas can say, you know what? I don't care what it looks like. I want to get mine. And when there's no rule and no consequence for that, then what would stop him? Like, I'm just going to do it. And I don't care if you think that I'm being paid off or, they're trying to buy me off to rule a certain way or whatever. I don't care because there's no consequence for me on the court if I do accept it. Yeah, Justice, imagine being a DoorDasher on the side. It's disgusting. It's really, and it's frightening because again, he's on the U.S. Supreme Court and he doesn't seem to give a lick about how it looks. Eric says, I'm open to bribes. I want money.
Yeah.
Now, Thomas's comments in 2000 were to a Florida Congressman, Cliff Stearns, who's a vocal conservative who's been in Congress 11 years. He often socialized with the justice. One story I heard was Clarence Thomas would help somebody with a tire, like a flat tire. And then all of a sudden you get $5,000 tuition for his kids or something. How does that happen? And how awkward is it for a Supreme Court justice to be like, yeah, I need money. He has no shame. Absolutely no, which doesn't surprise me. I think that, after the whole confirmations hearing and what was laid out, and obviously he was still given the job, he probably thinks he can get away with anything. And he's the Supreme Court justice. Who is the check on the Supreme Court? Again, we were talking about recusing himself in this whole Trump on the ballot case. He's not going to do that because there's nothing making him do it. No. There's nothing making him do it. And I don't know how we fix it. I don't know how we have a check on the high court because it's been so politicized, because there's no way that a Republican, let's say, would reprimand or remove a conservative justice. And I would say vice versa for Democrats. There's no way they would do it. They would find a way to justify why they should stay on the court.
Louise has the perfect thing to say here. When you rub elbows with the rich and powerful, you think you should also be rich,
Yes.
right? Or when you have power, you think that should somehow come with money. And I'm sorry, but just because you're a Supreme Court justice doesn't mean you're going to be rolling in the millions. No. Oh, you're muted, I think.
Because I was coughing.
Oh, Harry says, does anyone believe that Thomas and his wife haven't been bought and sold?
Exactly.
Mhm.
And back to Calvin's thing, he says Justice Thomas magically had no more debts, yet received so many gifts from kind, rich folks. Beer boy Kavanaugh had his large debt quickly paid off by unknown means. How does this happen? And we're just okay with it. They're being bought and paid for. And then they're supposed to police themselves. If there's no consequence and you have no shame, a la Thomas, then what's gonna be a check on him? Yeah,
It's
Vilma, Thomas is so dirty you can't even wash him clean. He just wants money. Yeah.
gross. She's right. It's gross. And it's not supposed to be this way when you're a
No.
Supreme Court justice. It's just not. It's gross. Vilma
Yep.
also. Oh, Vicky with a
Thank you,
$10 super
Vicky.
sticker. Nikki, Kim, chat friends, thank you for lots of fun. Happy holidays to you all. Happy holidays to you,
Happy
Vicky and
holiday.
Sausalito.
Thank you,
Yay.
Vicky.
A nice thing.
Yeah, he is so dirty. And Lori, exactly. Pretty sure more than 90% of judges could make more in private practice. They are public servants, which he would have resigned. He's disgraceful, and the rest of the court should be ashamed of supporting him in any way. Hands down, you're absolutely correct. And I know that we're not okay with it, Kevin, but we don't have any recourse for it. Like there's no, what can we do? We'd be like, shame on you. Ooh. And then he goes home to his riches. It doesn't matter to him. It doesn't matter at all. Heather says, it grosses me out that a Supreme Court justice, a person who's supposed to be fair and ethical because it's literally the job description, is this corrupt. Yeah. I hesitate to say this because I know it's going to show my political bias, but it just does seem like conservatives don't police their own. They just want to get away with it. It does seem that Democrats are punished more harshly and more quickly when people do wrong. Now, I'm not talking about Supreme Court justices because, again, there seems to be no consequence.
Well,
they managed
to suck some money out of the world,
Yeah.
the creating these nonprofits and shuffling and funneling money around. It's disgraceful and disgusting, and there will be no consequence for them for doing that.
Right. Harry says, considering the immunity case and Ginny Thomas's role as an avid denier, will Thomas recuse himself? He should, but he won't. I would be shocked. I'd be shocked if he did that. Absolutely, I would be shocked. Vilma, I'm sure George Santos thought that with power comes money. Yeah, well, George Santos. I think George Santos shot his shot too early. He had no clout. He had no power. And he was caught in so many lies. There was nobody there that wanted to defend him. Like, who the hell are you, liar? They're like, we lie, but we had to put in our dues to lie this much. You have not put in your dues to be able to lie this much to the American people. And so you must get out. Calvin says Chief Justice Roberts' wife is paid off in a multi-million-dollar job, not based on her merit. Well, I mean, you can have a long list of people. Mitch McConnell's wife. There's so many people's spouses that all of a sudden have the qualifications to do a really important freaking job. It doesn't start or stop there at all. Yeah, Karen, there's no reason for Thomas to resign in his mind. Absolutely not. He can do no wrong. And who's going to stop him? I mean, and especially in how the court's divided right now, they're not going to give up. They're not going to give up a seat. They're not going to
There were no rules.
No,
No,
not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
And
So
it really should give us all pause with important cases coming up before the Supreme Court.
yes,
I mean, obviously, Roe v. Wade was key in my mind, but the cases regarding the former president, where you have the question of presidential immunity, the ballot question in Colorado. And so does anyone think that, the people that he put in aren't going to
yep, exactly.
be
And
on his side on this? God.
Al Anonymous, I agree. And I did say that. I don't think that Republicans or Democrats, that it's only one or the other that's doing it. I'm just saying Democrats in recent years have been more willing to punish and expel at least lawmakers who do wrong. Republicans stand firm. They hold the line. I mean, Santos not included, but they just seem to be protecting their own no matter what they do. And Trump is the biggest example of that. Absolutely the biggest example of that.
And I would disagree with the statement that Democrats do childish things without accountability. Let's take Menendez of the gold bars.
Right.
Right, as an example. Do Democrats commit crimes, allegedly, do horrible things? Absolutely they do. Involved in, sexual scandals, everything. But when they are, there is accountability because Democrats don't look the other way. The other Democrats, they're not circling the wagons, protecting the person. They're saying, you too, get in line with the other corrupt people and take your lumps. No. And so, we're not sitting here defending Menendez. Absolutely not. Anybody that commits a crime should have to pay for that crime.
Absolutely. And I don't, and the thing is, I don't.
Many Republicans don't feel that way. They circle the wagons and try to protect the person, or they make excuses for the person. You have, I guess, talk to a Republican about what they feel about Clarence Thomas. And I bet it's completely different.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. If you've committed a crime in this country, we have to hold you accountable because you have so much power in this country. That's it. That is it. I've said it about Biden. I've said it about Hunter Biden, even though he is not president, by the way. Anybody, look, if you did wrong and you got caught, right? Because I'm sure that people do tons wrong and never get caught. But if you've done something wrong and you're powerful, there needs to be a consequence for that. That is how we keep, as well as we can, Washington honest. And Washington is not honest. We know that. And I'm laughing even as I say it, but we got to try. Trump has welcomed in this era of, even if you do wrong, just say it's a witch hunt. Just say you didn't do it. Even though there's evidence of you doing it, even if you're on freaking camera doing it, you can convince people by saying it wasn't me, I didn't do it, that people will just toe that line and defend you. And there's a lot of questions about the last election. No, they're not. All of those questions have been answered through the numerous lawsuits that you guys lost. You had no evidence, and yet they still say it. Every freaking politician that goes on TV and says, there are some questions about the last. No, there's not. There are no questions anymore about the last elections. You exhausted them. You exhausted them. You went through the process we have set up in this country to answer those questions, to provide evidence or lack of evidence. And we went through that. The answer is there. Trump lost handedly, handedly lost. He didn't like it. That's the truth. Randy says, if the Democrats can't beat Trump on the ballot in 2024, the Democrats need to figure out what is wrong with them, their policies or messages or whatever. I completely agree.
Yep.
I completely agree.
I mean, this should be, if it comes down to Biden versus Trump, there should be no question.
Oh God, yeah.
And if God forbid, Trump actually takes the White House again, you better believe there should be some type of.
Well, there's going to have to be a come to Jesus. We're going to have to.
What did we do so badly that a guy with that much baggage can sweep in and scoop up the votes? No.
And I would say it's messaging. I think that he's absolutely right. I think it's absolutely about messaging. It's not getting our message out enough and effectively enough. And we're trying. I see it. I see that. I think that that's what Newsom is trying to do for Biden. I think that we're just trying to be mature though while we do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, although I'll say that I think Newsom's trying to play the Republican game of being kind of, bombastic and, get in your face and use harsh language, not as harsh as Trump, but you know what I'm saying? And trying to do it that way to kind of give the GOP some of their own medicine. But one person from California alone cannot do it. Eric Swalwell, I think, does it well as well. But we have to continue to lay out the case of what has been accomplished. And also, why does everyone think that the Trump years were so great? Half of it we were in COVID, and it led to such large divisions in this country that it led to January 6th. I mean, Trump's presidency led to a historic tragedy of our democracy playing out in real time on national television.
Yep.
You want to go back to that? I would say this, the GOP should be having a come to Jesus moment of why they couldn't put up a better candidate that could rally the troops, that could cut through the MAGA cult, and they couldn't. They just couldn't, and it's so shocking that they couldn't do it. I don't know. I try to be optimistic, and I know it's the holidays, and we don't want to be all doom and gloom, but it's crazy.
Lori asked a question, and I have an answer. Besides Fetterman, what Democrat has come out against Menendez? Asking sincerely because none came to mind, but I could be wrong. An article in Politico says this: more than half of the Senate Democratic caucus has called on Menendez to resign in the wake of allegations that he allegedly took bribes. So have they moved forward with a way to get rid of him? No, but they're calling on him to resign. And they're trying to get him to move aside even now before he's found may or may not be found guilty of anything, so that another candidate can slide in to that race. He's refusing to do that. But I think Democrats are not coming out in support of him at all.
No. And again, I do feel like Democrats are more often quicker to call out wrongdoing. That's my political bias showing. I know it. But go ahead, show me Republicans that do it as quickly. I'm totally open to it.
I think you're right. And when something does happen and when Democrats do call it out, it's against one of their own, it's against whomever. It just seems to me like, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say that we're not as political or the Democrats aren't as political, because they are, but it seems like there's more of a moral compass involved.
Yeah. And we'll see what happens. I mean, again, between the ballots and then the Epstein associates and all that, a lot of stuff's going to be coming out in the last final weeks of 2023 into 2024. It's going to be a wild ride, and we'll be here for it all of us together. Okay, let's switch gears and take things local, shall we? And welcome a longtime friend of the show, Emily Hoeven with the San Francisco Chronicle. She's on the editorial board. Emily, thank you so much for taking some time. I love the fact that we were able to get you on one more time in 2023. So thank you.
Of course. Yeah. Happy winter. Happy holidays.
Yes. And I'm a short girl. It's the shortest day of the year. So it's Short Girl Appreciation Day. So we're also celebrating that, Emily. I have to put that in every comment. So there we go.
No, I love it.
Okay. So let's get into, you had a really interesting article. You sat down with San Francisco District Attorney Brooke Jenkins. And it was kind of going over the situation in San Francisco, which we all know about. We've been talking about ad nauseum: crime, open air drug markets, things like that. And your headline was quite intriguing. She says that Breed's plan to arrest drug users isn't working. But you also said she doesn't want to scrap it. So kind of lay out how that conversation went and what she really meant by that statement.
Yeah, it was a really interesting conversation. So I had originally reached out to her wanting to just sort of discuss the complexities of criminal justice in a time when a lot of the offenders on San Francisco streets seem to be people who are homeless, have mental illness issues, have substance abuse issues. And, how do you kind of find a way to humanely handle that situation while also holding them accountable for committing crimes that can be, at times violent, very harmful, things of that nature. And she had kind of talked about how in the state legislature and over the years, a lot of the teeth has been taken away from like misdemeanor offenses. So it's just kind of harder to get someone on a misdemeanor charge to, enter treatment or spend time in jail or anything like that. And I was kind of asking her, well, it's interesting that you say that, because obviously the mayor has come out and she's under extreme pressure to handle the open air drug markets in SF. And she had a directive that came out, I believe in May, that told the police to not only arrest drug dealers, but also arrest people who are using drugs in public. And this is something that's been on the books for a long time. Like, you can arrest someone for, being publicly intoxicated or using an illegal substance. But, practically speaking, it wasn't something that was like really ever being enforced. I don't think a lot of cities really enforce it. It's such a small charge, and there's also so many people that fall into that bucket. But anyway, so I said to the DA, like, do you think that approach has been effective, given that you were just talking about how, misdemeanors just in general are not really, there's not much attached to that. There's not many strings attached to a misdemeanor charge in the criminal justice system. And she kind of paused for a second, and then she said, like, to be honest, I don't think it is effective. And it's this very delicate thing to balance, because on the one hand, Jenkins believes, and I believe as well, that there has to be some sort of, response from an authority that is signaling to an individual that whatever you're doing is not acceptable. And there could be many reasons, right, for why you are partaking in those activities. And yes, we can have empathy, but it's not a free for all. Like, there are laws in our society, and laws are not meaningful unless they are enforced, right? Like, anyone can just say so.
Exactly.
So you have to enforce the law. And that's something that Jenkins emphasized. And I also wanted to make clear in my column, where that doesn't mean don't enforce the law. But the problem is that enforcing it has not really seemed to have made a substantial difference. And there are a lot of reasons for that. But kind of, again, going back to when you arrest someone for a misdemeanor charge, misdemeanor drug use, a lot of times police will take those individuals to like a sobering center or the hospital, or if they take them to jail and they book them in jail, they're going to be there, but they're only going to be there for like a couple of hours. And if they don't accept treatment, which a lot of them, the vast majority are not, I think it was like 12 out of nearly 1,800 that have accepted treatment that have been arrested. And that's drug users and drug dealers, but very, very, very few. So they're being cited, or they're having a misdemeanor, but these charges are so small that there's no, you almost like can't even prosecute it. And like, it's just and people will just be released because that's just the nature of the beast. Like if they can post bail, and a lot of times now, like there is a kind of a pretrial diversion process where if you are determined that you're not a public safety risk, and you're a very low level offender, like they will just release you. And the California Supreme Court has ruled that you can't hold someone in jail simply because they cannot afford to pay bail, as long as they are a low level and non-dangerous offender. And so the reality is that a lot of these folks will be arrested, they will have a citation, but for all intents and purposes, the vast majority of them, unless they had an outstanding warrant for a more serious crime, they're going to be back where they were like a couple of hours later.
Oh, man.
And so that's the thing, right? And then there's also this whole other aspect where the DA is trying to bundle charges for people that have done this multiple times, and basically say, okay, you've done this like 2 times, like you need to now go to this alternative court. Again, we're not going to prosecute you within the traditional criminal justice system and put you in jail or put you in prison, which prison wouldn't happen for this. But so we're going to send you to this alternative court where you say, I promise to fulfill, this treatment regimen, and the judge is going to monitor me, and I'm going to go to these classes, and I'm going to take drug tests. And if I do all of that, then my charges will be dropped. The problem is that because the charges are so small to begin with, there is literally no incentive for a person to actually say, unless they already are really, really wanting to find a way out of whatever it is they're going through, unless they have that motivation, like internally, people who are severely addicted are not going to choose to go through like maybe a 6-month-long process when they could just walk free and there's no real punishment.
Consequence. Yes.
And so that's kind of the landscape that we're working in. And it's a very delicate balance because, again, like you can't not enforce the laws. You have to enforce them. But you also have to find a way to make that enforcement meaningful. And I think that what the DA said, and I agree with, is there needs to be some sort of way that we craft a law, because the thing is, we do have these courts, right? These alternative courts that offer really substantial services, and you can get treatment, you can get therapy, you can get classes, all of these things to help you turn your life around. We have these resources, but people are choosing not to use them. What can we do in our legal system, in our criminal justice system, to get more people to take advantage of those opportunities? Because if we have agreed as a society that we don't want to just put people in jail or put people in prison for using drugs, okay, that's fine. That's probably the right thing to do, but they can't just use drugs on the street. So how do you get them to take advantage of these resources that San Francisco is offering to actually help you and to actually help you get your life back on track? And I think that's a really significant significant conversation that we need to have, where there does need to be a little bit more skin in the game, because right now, like, the offenders have literally no skin in the game. If they get caught, it doesn't matter. If they get released, it doesn't matter. So what can we kind of say to have them put, 20% forward, and we'll do the remaining 80%, but you need to have something on the line.
Well, I mean, and I don't know if you asked this or if this is legal, but I mean, can it just be the option? And then for those that say we can't incarcerate our way out of this drug problem, you're like, we're not trying to, but they're choosing to go to jail. Like, why can't it be, look, you can go to jail or you can go to this? Like, and why can't the law be changed there, or some sort of adjustment? Because then we can't be, and I'm talking about, Jenkins and the city, can't be accused of mass incarceration when we're giving people a choice. You can you can take the criminal way, the punitive, I'm going to jail for a set amount of time. And I think it should be significant, so there is that skin in the game. Or we have this great system set up to help you get on track. So no one can look at us like we're just throwing away the key for these people that are drug addicted or drug dealers. Is that possible, or is that not how the law is set up right now?
No, so I think from my understanding of this is, and I know this kind of goes back to the buzzword of Prop 47, which voters passed in 2016, but there have been studies, including out of Stanford, that have shown. So Prop 47 basically made more drug and theft crimes and misdemeanors. Right. So like in the past, it would have been a felony if you, I don't know, had a certain amount of drugs on you or whatever. Now it's a misdemeanor. So the felony is more serious because a felony can get you into prison. It usually comes with a longer sentence, things like that. And so with Prop 47, when you had folks who did have these drug charges, oftentimes they could choose between the jail and or prison and this treatment program. And because there was that longer sentence and that bigger penalty and that bigger criminal record kind of dangling in the balance, more folks were choosing to go through the alternative drug court system. And the DA has talked about that. As I said, there's several studies, including out of Stanford, that kind of have shown that once Prop 47 went into effect, fewer people were now choosing to go into drug court, because the reality was that the charges that they faced were so small that there was really no like incentive for them to do it. Whereas in the past, if you're like, oh, I'm facing, I don't know, 6 months in jail versus 6 months in treatment, why would I not choose the treatment?
Right.
Like, you would not choose treatment.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But now if you're facing 2 hours in jail or 6 months in treatment, you're going to probably take 2 hours in jail, right?
Yes.
And then you're going to be right back where you were. So I think Prop 47 is part of it. And I think that we need to find a way to give people a real choice, because I mean, right now it's just very clear that if there's no consequence and there's no incentive for you need motivation, right? Like the same way that I need, like, this is so funny, but like even I've been trying to go to like 7 a.m. workout classes, because if I don't, I set my alarm and I know people are going to be there and they're going to hold me accountable. And if if I'm not in the class, I'm not going to do it. The same way that all of us need that kind of external motivation in our everyday life from other people, I think the same is true here. You need some sort of force to propel you, because you may not do it yourself, and like this is obvious in all of our daily lives, from the littlest things of like doing the dishes to going to work out to whatever it may be. We all need that force that's kind of saying, let's do the thing that we know we should do, but it's hard to do.
And we lost that in California, it feels like. I feel like our empathy, and I'm going to include myself in it, right? It's like, oh my God, we have all these overrun jails. There's too many people. Oh my God, all he was doing was smoking meth. Like that shouldn't be a prison sentence, right? We shouldn't just throw away the key on these people on that hand. But I feel like as many things we've learned, especially in the state of California, the pendulum swings really harshly in one direction and another. And we haven't found that sweet spot in how to deal with these people who do need, I think, a little more stick if they're not going to take the carrot, like Vicky, one of our viewers, was saying. And so what's the answer? I mean, what's coming up next for the DA? Because while I think she's pointing to Breed, the mayor, it's fallen on her butt too. And she's going to have some sort of results as the DA. She was kind of saying that, at the end of the day, the whole criminal justice system is shaped by the laws and the laws that are coming out of Sacramento. And so she was saying that,
obviously I can prosecute, but I can only prosecute crimes that are crimes and carry with them certain sentences. And so I think there is going to have to be this larger conversation in Sacramento about what exactly are we trying to accomplish with our criminal justice system, because we know what we want to get to, but clearly we are not achieving that, right? And I think that we need to find a way, again, to kind of incentivize more people that really truly are very, very low level offenders and are sick. We need to find a way to get them treated, because right now just putting them in jail and then taking them out and letting them go back to using is not working, and just letting them be on the street and not arresting them at all is not working. So you need to find that middle ground. And I think there is a little bit of momentum in Sacramento to think about these things. There's basically a new committee in the legislature that's examining retail theft, which is also part of this Prop 47 framework, and thinking about what are the right penalties, because people are stealing and then running away, and there's not a lot of them unless they're really organized retail theft, like high level crime ring people. There's not a lot of consequences for those people that are kind of going every single day into Walgreens and taking like $100 of stuff or whatever it may be. There's not really a methodology for effectively dealing with that situation. So they're discussing that. There is an independent state watchdog that has been asked to review Prop 47 and kind of understand what's resulted from it. And so I think there is movement in Sacramento to kind of think about, okay, we really quickly implemented a lot of these changes. Let's now take a step back and look at whether things are actually working or not working. But I think very clearly the status quo on the streets is not markedly better than it was in 2016. If anything, it's worse, right? So and that's the result of a lot of things. But I think there is some desire to kind of re-examine that. So yeah, we'll see what comes out of all of those things. And there is new leadership in the assembly. And there's a new leader of the Assembly Public Safety Committee, which I know we have all talked about several times. And I think the new chairperson, Kevin McCarty out of Sacramento, is probably going to take a little bit more of a moderate tack than Reggie Jones Sawyer, who was out of Los Angeles, and he kind of got demoted. So, it'll be interesting to see how McCarty kind of approaches these issues, and whether he's kind of steering that committee. Again, we're never going to be it's still going to be California. It's still going to be right. But are we going to find maybe a little bit more of a common sense middle ground?
I think that we need that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I know you probably saw this in the Chronicle from yesterday, where a federal judge says, no, you all these drug convictions or plea deals in the Tenderloin are not strong enough. Yeah. And so I'm not going to accept it. And I that kind of goes against that. It's not the DA's fault, because why are they making these deals and creating this revolving door, as you mentioned, where people just go pop in and out of prison?
I feel like the more I start to report on, and there's still a lot more about the criminal justice system where I'm like, what? How does this even function? Because you're right, Kim. The thing is, I feel like everyone is to blame in this situation, because every part of the pie, I feel like, could be doing their job in a better and more effective way. And I think that the reality is, the DAs, they are often striking plea deals because it's just a simpler way than having to go to trial and having to prove it to a jury, right? And we see this all the time with all sorts of cases. I mean, I actually just did another column on someone in San Francisco who got basically whacked in the head with a broomstick and suffered a possible concussion out of it. And this was from an individual who was very severely on drugs and things like that. And this person was charged, was booked by police on, felony assault and felony vandalism. And he ended up getting a plea deal to misdemeanor vandalism, which is nothing, right? That's nothing. That's not really even anything. So
hurt someone,
you hurt someone. And then I talked with the DA's office, and they're like, well, there's only so much we can do when the victims aren't participating. But then the victim says, well, they never even contacted me. And I think it's so complicated, because I really feel like everyone that I've talked to in the DA's office, public defender's office, everyone is so busy and so overworked. And the judges, I mean, there's backlogs of cases going back to COVID when they couldn't even go into the courtrooms, right? And so I feel like everyone is just kind of trying to get things done. And sometimes that's going to mean that they're not fully prosecuting or defending the case to the way that they should be, and really digging and trying to get the evidence. And I know the victim I spoke to was like, okay, if they called me once and they couldn't find me, like, come to where I work, because
Right.
you know where I work. That's where I got assaulted. But and I don't know if they did that or not, but the point is just that I think it's like one and done, phone call, didn't happen.
We did that, yeah.
We're moving on. And it's kind of like we need to be taking all of these things a little bit more seriously and actually giving them the time that they need. And yeah, I think, and the other thing about the plea deals is that you have to remember that like any sort of sentence that a person is getting, like a prison sentence, for example, if it's, let's say it's 1 year, like the reality is that it's probably, you could get a 1 year prison sentence and be released, because if you've been waiting in jail, you know,
right,
they'll give you time served. And then because of California's credit earning situation in prisons, you're going to get half of that, most likely, unless you're like a very serious and violent offender, you're going to get half that. So if you get 2 years, you were a year in jail, you're probably only going to have to be 6 months in prison, and then you're back out. And so maybe that's appropriate or not, but the point is that like any sort of like, all of these things are like less than they seem to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Punishments aren't hard enough. Yeah, the punishments aren't hard enough. That's what it basically comes down to. We want to be empathetic, but at the same time, we're being taken advantage of. It's like the parent that loves their rambunctious or, you know, kid too much. It's like you're not getting that kid what they actually need, which is some tough love occasionally. And so I hope, like what you were mentioning with McCarty and others, that something can happen. I just hope there's not enough, you know, I hope there's not pushback, because that's the thing with Californians. We're such a large state with so many different, you know, wants, needs, and desires of what we think is happening. And so it can get complicated to just sit down, take a deep collective breath and be like, what we're doing is not working. So even though we wish that we lived in this bubble where we're going to do that and immediately everyone's going to fall in line here and they're going to change their ways and they're going to take advantage of the systems we have in place, it's messier than that. And it's not always going to work out the way that we want it to. So optimistic, cautiously optimistic. How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic that we are starting to have conversations that I feel like would not have been possible a couple of years ago, where there's an understanding that we need to be practical about what we're doing, and we need to think through the cause and effects of what we're doing. And you also can't just like say treatment and rehabilitation and then like not have those programs be effective either. I mean, my former colleague at Cal Matters just did this really long investigation looking into the rehabilitation like programs run by the state prison system. And like the long and the short of it is we spent all this money and we actually have no idea if anyone is actually benefiting from it or not. And like, you know, inmates are actually getting improvement and getting the things that they need to actually have a productive life on the outside. And I think we need both, right? We need to have the accountability. We need to have that, and probably more forcefully than we have for a while. But we also, if we're going to prioritize treatment, which we should, and rehabilitation, like let's make sure that it actually makes sense and that we actually know if it's working or not, because otherwise the whole thing is a joke. You know what I mean? So I'm cautiously optimistic, but I just think that there's so many pieces of this that are not doing their job that it's kind of like, what is the point of all of this, you know? And we should not have a society where like 50% of people that are released from prison are reoffending within like 3 years.
An hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it makes no sense.
It's not San Francisco, but I was just reading this story out of a guy about a guy in the East Bay who has been arrested 90 times for shoplifting.
90 times.
And he will spend 2 hours in jail and he's right back on the street. And
because there's no consequence.
He's arrested twice in the same day. And all the stores in this East Bay city, they know him and they're like, you're not supposed to be here. You know, and he'll stuff anything he can in his pockets because he's drug addicted, homeless, etc. And so what do you do with a person like this? And then then the police get frustrated because they're arresting the same guy. They're spinning their wheels. They're doing the same thing over and over. Mm-hmm. And it's already hard to keep officers once you have them on the force because it's a hard enough job. And so then here they are arresting the same guy over and over again, doing the same thing.
It'd be so aggravated. It's so aggravating.
Because your job, what you did isn't doing anything.
No,
you know?
I actually just received the body cam footage from the police department in SF for the case where the guy was hit over the head with the broomstick by the person with substance use issues. And in the body cam footage, the police is like, oh my God, I literally just saw this guy yesterday and I referred him to a street crisis response team and I don't understand like why he's back here. Like they didn't help him, whatever it was. And so it was like literally the day before the police had, encountered this individual. And so the police definitely, and then I also think the other part of it is like the judges. And I know the DA has kind of made a lot of controversial statements about judges, and like judges are, so for example, the person who's shoplifting 90 times and, the DA told me that she is trying to do more of like stacking misdemeanors. Like, let's say you have like 3 or 4 misdemeanors. Okay, stack them all up. And like now you have a felony, right? And now we have more leverage to say, look, like you need to go into treatment.
Exactly.
The DA has said, and it's very difficult to kind of ascertain whether this is true or not, but she has said that a lot of judges are like not really willing to do that. Again, not sure if that's the case because kind of looking at a judicial record and going to the court records is like a whole thing. But I think that the system is like so many different people in there, right? There's so many different, it's the police, it's the sheriff, it's the DA, it's the public defender, it's the judge, it's the court, it's the jury. Like there's all these things, right, that are going into it. And
yeah, we're just gonna have to see. I mean, I love the fact that you were able to sit down with the DA though, and actually come on and explain the conversation, because I know people are frustrated, like I am, like Kim is, like you are, because we want the systems that we have in place and kind of the goal to work. Emily Hoeven, that's our time, but I want you back in the new year because there's so much. We didn't get to talk about the NIMBYs and AG Rob Bonta, but we're going to talk about that after the first, because just to let you guys know, there's going to be a lot more building going on in California because Newsom and our Attorney General Rob Bonta are behind the builder's remedy. So after the new year, can I promise that we'll get you back on and we'll talk about that?
Of course. No, sorry, I probably went on.
I need to talk about this for hours. No, this was my number one thing. And we know that the builder's remedy is coming into place, but I definitely want to talk about that because between housing and crime, those are the 2 issues I think that a lot of Californians, and I'm sure you hear about all of the time on the editorial board of the San Francisco Chronicle. I have included a link to Emily's articles in the show notes. Always check them out because she's an amazing writer. And I just love the fact that you were able to sit down with Jenkins about it because so many questions and we need so many answers. So have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we will have you on right after the new year.
Thank you both so much. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you.
Having me.
Of course. Anytime. That's Emily Hoeven with the San Francisco Chronicle. Yeah. It's frustrating when you see all of that stuff happening. It is so very frustrating, but we love having her on. Okay. That is our show. Stay here because Mark Thompson is coming up, but it's Kim McAllister.
Yeah,
the queen of the Mark Thompson Show, Kim McAllister. Can I just do some thank yous really quickly before we go?
Go get it.
Okay, good. Thank you to Nick. He just came in with a $25 donation. Merry Christmas, Nikki and Kim. Happy holidays to all.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie, $5 in honor of Nikki's son's appearance. She's watching in delay, which I find so funny. Yes, Dylan is. The kids are home from school. Janet came in with $20. Nikki and Kim, I hope you have a wonderful holiday. Nikki, I gave Kim her gift in person, so I just sent you via PayPal. Oh, Jenny, you're so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Vicky came in with $10. Nikki, Kim, chat friends, thank you for lots of fun. Yep. Gary, $10. Thank you, Gary. Jenny, $20. Thank you. You guys are so generous today. Karen came in with $20. Also, Harry came in with $10, and Steven started us off with $3. Email me, the Nikki Medoro Show @gmail.com. I have my Christmas e-card that I have sent to everybody. I had an email. If I missed your email, I might have. Send it to me. I will send out all the requests because I love it, because it's really cute, and you guys are going to love it as well. Please consider signing up for our Patreon, NIKKI'S.com. You'll find all the ways to donate to the show. We have so much more. Kim's going to be here tomorrow. A nice, fun show. I'm going to do a Friday food recording today for tomorrow as well, so check that out. Off next week, but we will be back in the new year, so keep it tuned. Subscribe, the bell. There'll be new content that's recorded for next week. Merry Christmas, guys. I love you. I'll miss you.
Merry Christmas, Nikki Medoro.
Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're oh so awesome. You're sprout.
I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.